Hello, everyone, and welcome to the smartsocial.com podcast. No matter where you're listening to or watching us anywhere in the world, whether it's on YouTube, podcast, Facebook, or anywhere else, any other platform, we want to welcome you and talk about how to keep your kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online. Rather than just giving them a device and talking about the pastime that they could have, we want to give them a purpose so they someday can talk about their career, college, internships, and they can use the device in their hands to get them there, to build a portfolio, to build a resume, to do all these great things that really guide them along the way so they have wisdom and discernment as they see things along their route, and they can use this 2020 vision that we have in this new year to make sure that when you're not around, they're making wise choices. Now, the topic of today is one of the hottest apps. We're going to talk not only about digital safety, but we're also going to talk about TikTok. I'm so pumped to have somebody live from Barcelona, the country. We're so excited, the city. And today we have Theresa Desuyo from the Qustodio App. Theresa is the screen time and digital family expert at Qustodio. Theresa, welcome live from Barcelona.
Thank you so much, Josh. It's great to be here. Perfect timing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, you're from Qustodio. Let's start it off just real quick. Tell us a little bit about what the Qustodio app does as I guide people through your website a little bit.
Sure, of course. Well, as you can see here, it's a parental control app. And what that basically means, it allows parents to supervise, manage, and protect children. We're a leader in the digital safety and well-being space. What we strongly believe in is giving visibility to parents with information of how their children, their teens are using apps, games, and websites, how much time they're spending, which ones they're looking at, what categories of websites and apps and games that they most use, and gives them that visibility so they can make the best decisions for their own digital lifestyle. As children evolve based on age, their needs and the access to the different pieces of content online change. And that gives the parents the opportunity to have these discussions with their children as they can visualize what type of, how they're dividing and allocating their time online.
I love it. It's a very important, it's important for all of our listeners to know that it's great to not only have a dialogue, but also to have tools that add a layer of safety on top. And sounds like that's what you guys do, especially for families. If you go straight to Qustodio.com, it's going to have an opportunity for you. It's about, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about $50 per year to get this service. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's
and
awesome.
The app works around across Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and Kindle, so across platforms. And currently, about 2 million families are using this service.
Amazing. All right. That's cool. So those of you listening, you can click the link below, or you can just go into your iOS or Android app store and just search for this, learn more. We don't get paid and there's no affiliate link. It's just go learn more about it. I want you to take a peek as our listeners, as our community, as people all over the world. I want you to know that there's lots of options. Qustodio is one of them. Now, let's dive on into the great stuff. Let's talk a little bit about TikTok. I want you, if you don't mind, Theresa, to share some of the data that you have on TikTok. And then we're going to talk about some of how TikTok could negatively impact students. Now, before we get started, I want to show you something we discovered this morning, Theresa. This is hot off the press. I'm going to share with you my computer screen here one more time real quick. I have a small team here in Los Angeles, actually all over the country, and we released a blog post 48 hours ago, less than 48 hours ago, called The Negative Impacts of TikTok, and it has received, as of the time of this video, 40 hours later or whatever, 218 shares. It's started to blow up our little blog post all about what people are saying about this hot app. And the reason why I show you guys that is anybody that's listening to this right now or watching this is a really hot app. Your kids want to be on this app. And we're going to tell you more about where it's based and why it might be dangerous. But first, Theresa, it's all yours. What's some of the information you have on TikTok?
Well, yeah, I do have some interesting information, but perhaps just sharing a little background about TikTok and why it's so hot. You have that great information on your own blog, but it's something quick, easy for any age that a child is. For young children, it's very visual. So they don't need to read. They just simply need to recognize certain symbols or icons to be able to participate. It allows users to create videos, quick videos of up to 15 seconds long. So it's entertaining both for the creator and the person who consumes it. And allows people to connect different multiple clips together for up to 60 seconds. So they're quick, fast, fun, and this kind of has this binge watching quality to it. So that could potentially be, that leads to endless scrolling of videos and could potentially be addictive, no matter how old your child is. And our own stats that we've seen with Qustodio users are, in fact, that from the younger age, that it's at the top of the list of the different social media apps that are out there compared to Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook. And as children get a little older, it goes down the list. But in terms of those who are connected, we do find that the time spent is quite high per day. So 4 to 6 year old, they're spending 44 minutes per day. 7 to 9 year olds are spending 60 minutes a day. So just an hour. 10 to 12, over an hour and 15 minutes. 13 to 15 year olds are spending 65 minutes, and 16 to 18, 57 minutes. The 16 to 18 year olds, it goes lower in terms of the ranking, but the time that they're spending is still quite considerable per day.
So about an hour. What was the youngest? The
Yep.
youngest again was a little under an hour?
4 to 6, 45 minutes.
45 minutes. So 4 to 6 years old is 45 minutes. Everybody listening right now, that's 45 minutes a day, 3/4 of an hour a day. And everybody it was hovering around an hour. I mean, 3/4 of an hour could become an hour really easily, right?
That's right.
Absolutely unbelievable. Okay, tell us some more data about what else did you find?
Well, basically, it's around across age groups from 4 to 18. TikTok overall is at the top, followed by Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, then Facebook in that order. This is the high-level data that I am allowed to share based on our usership, and then after that, we do protect our users' data. So,
yeah.
But this would be the most important in terms of how popular it is and how much time children really are spending. And if you consider how much free time a child has in a day, how much time they're in school, how much time they might be playing or eating, an hour is quite an important amount of time to spend time on screens. It's not even counting TV or other apps where that might be spending that time. But
I actually think it's really neat that you just shared some data, because here's why. If you're a parent listening to this right now, you're wondering, am I normal? Is it normal to have a frustration that we gave our kid this Ferrari? I'm holding up my phone. We do believe that this is a fast moving vehicle, that if you don't have a talk with about how to drive it safely, it is a Ferrari. It can kill others. It can hurt your family. It can just do really bad things. But we gave our kids this Ferrari. Now all they do is look at it in the car. We pick them up. It's all the time on it. I feel like a terrible mom. I want to take it away, but I don't know what to do. If you're going through that frustration, Theresa's sharing some data everybody's going through the same frustration. You're not alone. We're here for you. And these devices, which are as addicting to young kids, psychologists say, as cigarettes and alcohol, but yet we're giving to them at the age of, younger, elementary school, middle school. It used to just be high school. And so you're not alone. We're here for you. All right, Theresa. So you're saying a little less than an hour, 4 to 6 years old. Unbelievable, by the way. It's only getting younger. I don't want to sound like I'm shocked, but I'm shocked at the same time. 4 to 18. Let's just say it's almost an hour. And then I'm surprised that Pinterest is so high up there.
Yeah, it is surprising. I suppose it's still a place where kids post information, but it's high up there for older kids than it is for younger kids.
Yeah.
But going back to the numbers, what's interesting, if you consider, I haven't done the math on it, but if each video is 15 seconds and you divide an hour by 15 seconds, like how many different pieces of content are they actually watching. So
Yeah.
not only we are talking a little bit about, the negative impact of binge watching, how many different faces and what are they going through and what impact might this have on their own attention span?
So that's 240 videos
There you
in
go.
60 minutes, because that's 4 videos per minute, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will say that some of them are so cool that you'll watch them twice. So it's more like, I mean, just,
True.
I'm not on TikTok a lot, but I will tell you, parents, if your kids are on TikTok, you need to be on TikTok. You need to be everywhere your child's at. It's like a park. If you were to take your kids to New York City, and it's gorgeous, and during the summer, take them to Central Park, and then all of a sudden, you could go to Central Park and they could run away from you a little while and be 100 feet away, and it's fine because you can monitor them. It's during the daylight. It's great. It's a safe place during the daytime. But if somebody were to ask, well, would you leave your kids alone there at night? You'd probably be like, you'd think about their age. No, probably not a safe place. Same is true for apps. If you're there with them, it's safe. It's awesome. It's fun. Almost all the apps. But especially some of the bad apps, would you allow them to be there alone? We'd say on TikTok, my argument would be no. So when you dive into TikTok, you're going to learn there's almost no pause button. Now, a kid did teach me, you just tap in the middle to pause it, but nobody knows that. There's no real pause. It just loops and loops. So I would argue that a lot of people will watch TikToks, one video once to probably 2 or 3 times because they're so interesting. People like to get into them. Okay, so that's interesting. 240 per hour.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and it is fun, and it does incite some creativity. But one of the other negative aspects is the opportunity for unwanted guests to connect with our children, with our teenagers. There is an age limit. I know that's true in Spain. They have to be at least 16 years old, but as we see from the numbers, that doesn't seem to matter. Children find ways to circumvent those things, or parents themselves allow children because it's trendy, it's fun, their friends are on it, it's what kids are doing and what's popular. So giving visibility to parents, like you said, Josh, parents should definitely be where their kids are. We don't allow our kids to cross the street alone if they're 4 to 6 years old. We have to teach them how to cross the street, what to look for, turn your head left and right before crossing, even though the light turns green. There are rules to basic things, like just crossing the street, riding a bike, swimming. We hold our children's hands. And why not in this huge pool of so much information that's being produced in such a short period of time? And that's what we see in TikTok, how it's so concentrated in, 240 videos that you said, in an hour of where they're spending their time. So
it's 240 people that that your kids don't know. And I like how you said we hold their hands and give them training wheels and go when kids get their first bike, it usually has training wheels, and we hold their hand and help them. And then when they take the training wheels off, we're still holding their hand, right? And
or
yet with
watching
devices,
them.
we're like, no, you're tech savvy. Here you go. Here's access to 7 billion people,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Okay, what other data do you have for us?
The other data I have is really around those in terms of usage and time. But the other thing that we've seen in terms of TikTok, this is not specific to TikTok, but it does happen quite a bit because there's so many people on this app. There are 800 million monthly active users worldwide. In the US alone, there are 26.5 million monthly active users in the US. So what does that mean? That there are these different age ranges. It's not just young people, there are also adults that are using this app. 50% of the global audience is under 34 years old. So that is already outside of the child range that we're talking about, from 4 to 18 years old. So like you said, there, access to 7 billion people. I just mentioned the number of monthly active users that TikTok has. And at the same time, there's very little restriction on what kind of videos are allowed and being uploaded here. So there's a lot of potential that explicit content reaches these eyes. So again, before giving child access, it's good to sit down with your children and put some safety guidelines around that usage. If you see something strange or weird or that makes you feel uncomfortable, let's talk about it. Tell me what you saw. How did you feel? It's hard to unsee things, but it's certainly easy to, before you put this strong Ferrari device in their hand, to talk about what they could potentially come across before it finds
That's
them.
terrific. I couldn't agree more with you. All right, so we've talked about some of the stats. Students are using it almost an hour a day. That's an hour that they're not learning a second language. You know, Teresa, you speak Catalan and you speak Spanish fluently. You live in Barcelona,
I
which is
do,
amazing. I mean, you
yes.
speak 3 languages and you're learning a 4th. You're toying with French. You're learning French and trying to learn that, right?
I think I pretend.
Well, I applaud you and I respect the effort because I think it's so important. You're meeting new people and social, whereas these devices, technically, we get the feeling, that rush of the feeling of the urge, but we're not actually meeting new people, which is unfortunate. So parents, just consider that 1 hour a day, just 1 hour a day. That's what we could be doing. And I don't believe screen time is bad if you're doing it as a family, but that 1 hour a day can turn into, obviously 30 hours a month, which let's say 30 times 12, that's 360 hours a year. You can learn a new language. Arguably, I'd say you could become decent at some Spanish. Why? Because I'm decent at some Spanish in 360 hours a year, right? And then at the end of that, you have value. It will change your career if you can speak dual languages. You can do anything. In my argument, I know I'm positive, but two Spanish. Well, you're a Spanish speaker. I'm a trier.
Yes.
But anyways, now let's talk about the disadvantages of TikTok. If you hand it over to your kid, tell us about some of the things that we might consider before letting our kids download TikTok and run around in that playground.
Sure. This could be TikTok or anything else. I think that having conversations with children are important before even putting that device in their hands. Talk about a digital contract. I gave you this gift. Let's see if you're prepared to do that. Let's talk about the rules around the usage and agree on them and have them be held accountable. So I would say there's three things around screen time, and then we could apply this into TikTok specifically. But the first thing I would say would be to teach accountability. And that is talking about the rules and the consequences if they don't live up to that agreement. How much time, what will you be using for? Which brings me to the second tip, is that realize that not all screen time is equal, meaning that there's using screen time for what's productive versus pure entertainment or trying to fill in idle time. So having that discussion of how, what, and why they're using this in that way. Certainly this is very powerful, and we could use it for things that are positive. At the same time, if it's for pure entertainment, also fill that time of entertainment with other things. And this would be where TikTok falls in, entertainment. You're entertained. Why do you enjoy that? And I mentioned the negative impacts before, this binge watching. Why would binge watching be negative? And it's this addictive and not thinking while you're consuming information or media. This could have a negative impact where it's very passive and they're absorbing information and without really interacting. They see people, but not engaging. So having that discussion, go ahead.
Pause
please.
for just 1 second.
Sure.
On that, because I think there's a bigger thing here.
Yeah.
A lot of people, we all know as humans that sleep is so important, especially at a young age, because you're actually building cells, you're growing. Children grow at night, right? And if we don't get our 7 to 10 hours of sleep, children, enough sleep, we all know that we can't concentrate the next day. Our dreams are important to figure problems out and to we are incredible human beings. But if we don't get enough sleep, it really affects our other time. And I would argue that too much time on Netflix, TikTok, and all these devices where we are just consumers, they force us to put the world's problems behind us and put them and kind of sweep them under the rug. and we're not solving those problems, the frustrations we have to figure out solutions, the bullying that happened at school, we're hiding it. And so parents, I want you to understand that it's okay for your students to just look at the wall, to have a whiteboard, as you see behind me. If you're not on, if you're not viewing us, I have a huge whiteboard in the office to figure out issues, to think. To be bored is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm bored. We don't hear that as much anymore because we're on the couch with Netflix. So I just want you guys to remember, it's wonderful to have nothing to do, to then be able to think about the things that happened yesterday, today, and put them into folders in your brain. Very important, psychologists say, to really unpack things and be able, from a mental health perspective, to really package things up so that we know where we're going. Anyways, I'll give it back to you.
No, but that's true. Giving yourself time to reflect, and giving yourself to reflect and review and take an audit of things that have happened, allow you to take pause and work through things that happened in the past. And I think it has to do with time and space also. Things that, because we're bombarded by so much information, we oftentimes forget what happened when. But in those times of pause and breaks, we can sit down and appreciate things much more. You mentioned sleep, and that was the third thing I wanted to talk about in terms of screen time. And the third would be healthy use. Healthy use would mean to take breaks, taking that pause, taking your eyes away from the screen, and you're more connected with what's around you versus just being connected to what's passing through that device or that screen. And in terms of the impact of sleep, psychologists do say this, to restrict usage at least 1 hour before bedtime, because it does affect the blue light, does affect sleep cycles. I've actually noticed this myself. I'm here in Barcelona and I have to be connected to the US at these hours or even later. And it's a little harder for me to sleep when I'm connected, when my schedule does go into the later hours of the day. And I can attest to that. There's definitely an impact when I'm connected to my devices versus the evenings that I'm not.
Yeah. Parents, if you're listening to this right now, turn on your night mode on your phone after my family hates it when I force them to do this. It's so funny. The people closest to you don't think you're the expert, but then millions of people all over the world do. Please consider turning on night mode. It's built into your phones. It'll remove the blue light after sunset or 2 hours before, 1 hour before bedtime. And it kind of gently reminds you time to start settling down. We need the most sleep we can get. You can also, I do this nerdy thing next to my bed, Theresa. I have blue blocker glasses that are the amber glasses that are reddish. And I wear them before I go to bed if I'm going to do something on the phone or on the laptop. And it's so nerdy to wear sunglasses at night, but sleep is precious. We're going to look back and go, wow, we really were detrimental to our sleep for all those years. The sleep is important. It makes us look younger, feel better, happier. We don't have to exercise as much. If we just get a little bit more sleep, it's like having great exercise. It's a really, really crucial thing. So parents, please, you got a chance to turn that on. I know my mom's like, I don't know why I need that, but I do strongly suggest it. You'll get a deeper REM sleep and it'll make all the difference.
Agree 100%.
So Theresa, let's talk on to the next thing. How do we manage students' screen time? We talked a lot about TikTok data. TikTok negatively affects kids and stuff. What are some of the other tips you might have on, and I hope maybe that was all of them, but what are some other tips that parents can do to make sure their kids aren't just consumers?
That they're not just consumers, but actually participating, you mean? Or
yeah.
Okay. As it relates to technology, or
as it relates to, what are some ways to put the device down? Like, what does Qustodio suggest when it comes to just reducing some of the screen time so we can get more in touch with other people?
Okay. Well, the first time, in terms of reducing, first you have to know how much you're actually using. So first, it's understanding what your interactions are with this device. How are you using it? So Qustodio, for example, it does tell you how much, you can actually look at how much time you've used specific apps, games, or spent on specific websites. You can designate time limits per app, filter or block times of day based on your usage, then regulate, restrict, or limit. And as a parent or as a student yourself, you can use it on yourself to see how you've been behaving with your own device, and then make adjustments around that to have a healthier balance, to do other things. Wow, I've been using this 80 minutes. Maybe I should limit to 60 minutes and then designate that 20 minutes to doing something else.
Yeah.
Taking
So
those breaks
basically
and taking pause.
audit what you're already doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Any other screen time tips for parents? Because we know the kids are already on it too much. I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to err on the side, like, well, maybe some families don't give their kids at all. There's very few. I talk to a lot of parents every week, and they're always saying, we accidentally gave our kids this. We don't know how to
Yes.
manage it now. The cat's out of the bag. What do we do? Do you have any other tips for people like that?
Well, for parents, tips for them, the first is to watch their own behaviors. What am I doing throughout the day? And they pick up on this behavior. If it's okay for me as a parent to take it to bed with me, then a child will eventually adhere to that same behavior. Meal times, I'm such a big proponent of taking technology away, as far away as possible from the table. And sometimes we make the excuse, well, I just want to show this video, or I just want to share this message. Well, that can wait an hour. Nothing's going to change in that hour. And that table time gives so many opportunities to discuss what they are doing on their devices. So we learn from each other. If your children are spending time on their devices, understanding not just what your device tells you where you're spending your time, but ask them at that moment. So it's a perfect opportunity to learn about your kids and communicate.
I love it. That's really great. Theresa, I want to thank you for being a guest of ours today. You've been absolutely terrific. Live from Barcelona. You stayed late to help us out. Parents and educators, no matter where you're listening all over the world, smartsocial.com has 2 brand new amazing resources every single week. We're helping millions of people a week to learn how to keep their kids safe and smart online. But what's awesome is we have this membership program that teaches you TikTok. I guide you through TikTok. It's $5 as of the time of this video. It is a deep dive into TikTok that teaches you everything you need to know on a screen share. So I go, whoa, guys, look at this part. Look at this part. We show you where the inappropriate content is. We teach you Snapchat. In less than 15 minutes, you're an expert on Snapchat without asking your kids. So you're doing this on your own. We teach you Instagram. We dive into the dangers every parent should know before giving their student their first phone. This is powerful. This is a free course as of right now. And we unlocked it before the holidays, and lots of people took it. It's amazing. We also have 10 ways to lock your phone down, safety features, before you give your kids an iPhone. It is a deep dive, 30 minutes with me. If you're worried about what your kids are doing online, consider these are built-in systems inside of the iPhone that you can lock it down, and then you can add Qustodio or other tools on top of that. Also, social media agreement class. We have this little baby course where I speak to your kids and I teach your kids why they need to sign the social media agreement, and we give you a 2-page awesome detailed agreement. We teach you how to reduce ransomware opportunities so that because cybercrime is everywhere, and we have all kinds of other great stuff. All when you go to smartsocial.com, click the membership thing at the top. And I'm so excited, so thankful to the team that we have here in Los Angeles or in the US to help us reach so many people. And Theresa, I want to thank you for all the things you do. You speak 3 languages, and you're learning a 4th language. You're doing some great stuff, and I really appreciate your time here today.
Thank you so much, Josh. It was a pleasure.
Thanks to everybody who's listening. And remember, as you can see from the book in the background, keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching. And we want to make sure that you're setting the best example you can so that they're doing the right things online. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.